भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चाक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। जय श्रील गुरुदेव, जय श्रील प्रभुपाद। We're reading from Canto 1, Chapter 12, Text 34. It's talking about the birth of Maharaj Parikshit. Many different things on that. Okay, translation. By those riches, the king could procure the ingredients for 3 horse sacrifices. Thus, the pious king Yudhishthira, so actually Yudhishthira Maharaj sent someone and they got some nice gold left by King Maruta from somewhere in the Himalayas. So by those riches, king could procure the ingredients of 3 horse sacrifices. Thus the pious king Yudhishthira, who was very fearful after the battle of Kurukshetra, pleased Lord Hari, the personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Maharaj Yudhishthira was the ideal and celebrated pious king of the world, and he was greatly afraid after the execution of the battle of Kurukshetra because of the mass killing in the fight, all of which was done only to install him on the throne. He therefore took all the responsibility of for sins committed in the welfare, and to get rid of all these sins, he wanted to perform 3 sacrifices in which horses are offered at the altar. Such a sacrifice is very costly. Even Maharaj Yudhishthira had to collect the necessary heaps of gold left by Maharaj Maruta on the Brahmanas who were given gold in charity by King Maruta. The learned Brahmanas could not take away all the loads of gold given by Maharaj Maruta, and therefore they left behind the major portion of the gift. And Maharaj Maruta also did not again collect such heaps of gold given away in charity. Besides that, all the golden plates and utensils which were used in the sacrifice were also thrown in the dustbin. And all such heaps of gold remained unclaimed property for a long time, till Maharaj Yudhishthira collected them for his own purposes. Lord Shri Krishna advised the brothers of Maharaj Yudhishthira to collect the unclaimed property because it belonged to the king. The more astonishing thing is that no subject of the state also collected such unclaimed gold for industrial enterprise or anything like that. This means that the statesmen were completely satisfied with all necessities of life and therefore not inclined to accept unnecessary productive enterprises for sense gratification. Maharaj Yudhishthira also requisitioned 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 the heaps. Krishna.
Requisitioned.
Oh, requisitioned. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Maharaja also requisitioned the heaps of gold for performing sacrifices and pleasing the Supreme Hari, the personality of Godhead. Otherwise, he had no desire to collect them for state treasury. One should take lessons from the acts of Maharaj Yudhishthira. He was afraid of sins committed on the battlefield and therefore he wanted to satisfy the supreme authority. This indicates that unintentional sins are also committed in daily occupation discharge of duties, and to counteract even such unintentional crimes, one must perform sacrifices as they are recommended in the revealed scriptures. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Yagnartho karmana nitya lokoyam karma bandhana tat artham karma konteya mukta sangha samacharit. That one must perform sacrifices recommended in the scriptures in order to get rid of commitments of all unauthorized work or even unintentional crimes which are apt to commit. By doing so, one shall be freed from all kinds of sin, and those who do not do so but work for self-interest or sense gratification have to undergo tribulations acquired from committing sins. Therefore, the main purpose of performing sacrifice is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Lord Hari. The purpose of performing sacrifices may be different in terms of different times, places, persons, but the aim of such sacrifices is one and the same at all times and in all circumstances. with satisfaction of Supreme Lord Hari. That is the pious way of pious life. That is the way of pious life. And that is the way of peace and prosperity in the world at large. Maharaj Yudhishthir did all these as the ideal pious king in the world. If Maharaj Yudhishthir is a sinner, in his daily discharge of duties in royal administration of state affairs, wherein killing of a man and animal is a recognized art, then we can just imagine the amount of sins committed consciously or unconsciously by the untrained population of Kali Yuga, who have no way to perform sacrifice to please the Supreme Lord. The Bhagavatam says, therefore, that the prime duty of a human being is to satisfy Supreme Lord by performance of one's occupational duties. 1 to 13. Let any man of any place or community, caste, creed be engaged in any sort of occupational duty, but he must agree to perform sacrifices as it is recommended in the scripture for particular place, time, and person. In the Vedic literature, it is recommended that in Kali Yuga, people engage in glorifying the Lord by chanting the holy name of Krishna. Krish, Kirtanad eva Krishnasya mukta sangha param rajet. Without offense. By doing so, one can be freed from all sins and thus attain the highest perfection of life, returning home back to Godhead. We have already discussed this more than once in this great literature in different places, especially in the introduction portion by sketching the life of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and still we are repeating the same with a view to bring about peace and prosperity in society. The Lord has declared openly in Bhagavad Gita how He become pleased with us, and same process practically demonstrated in the life and preaching work of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The perfect process of performing yajnas or sacrifices to please the Supreme Lord Hari, the personality of Godhead, who gets us free from all miseries of existence, is to follow the way of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this dark age of quarrel and dispensation. The perfect process of performing yajna, sacrifices, please Supreme Lord Hari, who gets us free from all miseries of existence, is to follow the ways of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the dark age of quarrel and dispensation. Maharaj Yudhishthira had to collect heaps of gold to secure the paraphernalia for the horse sacrifice yajnas in days of sufficiency. So we can hardly think of such performance of yagnas in these days of insufficiency and complete scarcity of gold. At present moment, we have heaps of papers and promises of their being converted into gold by economic development of modern civilization, and still there is no possibility of spending riches like Maharaj Yudhishthir, either individually or collectively or by state patronization. Just suitable, therefore, for the age is the method recommended by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in terms of Shastra. Such methods require no expenditure at all and yet can award more benefit than other expensive method of yajna performance. The horse sacrifice yajna or cow sacrifice yajna performed by the Vedic regulation shouldn't be misunderstood as a process of killing animals. On the contrary, animals offered in the yajna were rejuvenated to a new span of life by the transcendental power of chanting the Vedic hymns, which, if properly chanted, are different from what is understood by common laymen. The Veda mantras are all practical, and the proof is rejuvenation of the sacred animal. Okay. Actually, I have to start this as well. Like, animal killing is having many points for this. There is no possibility of such methodical chanting of Vedic hymns by the so-called Brahmanas or priests of the present age. The untrained descendants of the tribes-born families are no more like their forefather, and thus they are counted amongst the Shudras or once born man. The once born man is unfit to chant the Vedic hymn, and therefore there is no practical utility of chanting the original hymns. And to save them all, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu propounded the Sankirtana movement of or yajna for all practical purposes, and the people in the present age are strongly recommended to follow this sure and recognized path. Text 35. Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, being invited into the sacrifice of Maharaj Yudhishthira, saw it that they were performed by qualified twice born Brahmanas. After that, for the pleasure of the relatives, the Lord remained a few months. Shri Prabhupada's purport. Lord Shri Krishna was invited by Maharaj Yudhishthira to look into supervision of performing of yajna, and the Lord, to abide by the orders of his elderly cousin, caused the performance of yajna by learned twice born Brahmanas. Simply taking birth in the family of a Brahmana does not make one qualified to perform yajna. One must be twice born by proper training and initiation from the bona fide acharya. The once born science of Brahmana families are equal with the once born Shudras, and such Brahmana bandhus or unqualified one born science must be rejected for any purpose of religious or Vedic function. Lord Shri Krishna was entrusted to look after the arrangement and perfect as he is. He caused the yajna to be performed by the bona fide twice born Brahmanas for successful execution. Text 36. O Shaunaka, thereafter the Lord, having bade farewell to Yudhishthir, King Yudhishthir, Draupadi, and other relatives, started for the city of Dwarka, accompanied by Arjuna and other members of Yadu dynasty. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the 12th, first canto, 12th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Birth of Emperor Parikshit. 13. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Shri Sutta Goswami said, chapter is Dhritarashtra quits home. Very nice chapter. Srila Sutta Goswami said, while traveling on pilgrimage, Vidura received knowledge of the destination of the self from the great sage Maitreya and then returned to Hastinapur. He became as well versed in the subject as he desired. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Vidura, one of the prominent figures in the history of the Mahabharata, he was conceived by Vyasadev in the womb of the maid servant of Ambika, mother of Maharaj Pandu. He is the incarnation of Yamraj, being cursed by Manduka Muni. Mandaka Muni, he became a Shudra. The story is narrated as follows. Amazing. Shilpa gives all these stories. Once upon a time, the state police caught some thieves who had concealed themselves in the hermitage of Mandika Muni. The police constable, as usual, arrested all the thieves and Mandika Muni along with them. The magistrate specifically punished the Muni to death by being pierced with a lance. When he was just to be pierced, the news reached the king, and he at once stopped the act on consideration of being a great Muni. The king personally begged the Muni pardon for the mistake of his men, and the saint at once went to Yamraj, who preaches the destiny of living beings. Yamraj, being cautioned by the Muni, replied that the Muni in his childhood pierced an ant with a sharp straw, and for that reason he was put into difficulty. Actually, I was a little confused. The police constables, yeah, it's actually the Yamadutas, from what I understand. Oh, okay, here. The Muni thought it was unwise on the part of Yamraj that he was punished for his childhood innocence, and thus the Muni cursed Yamraj to become Shudra, and the Shudra incarnation of Yamraj, known as Vidura, the Shudra brother of Dhritarashtra and Maharaj Pandu. But this Shudra of Kuru dynasty was equally treated by Bhishma Dev along with his other nephews. In due course, Vidura was married with a girl who was also born in the womb of Shudrani by a Brahmana. Although Vidura did not inherit the property of the father, the brother of Bhishma Dev, still he was given sufficient state property by Dhritarashtra, the elder brother of Vidura. Vidura was very much attached to the elder brother, and along he tried to guide him on the right path. During the patriarchal war of Kurukshetra, Vidura repeatedly implored his elder brother to do justice to the sons of Pandu, but Duryodhana did not like such interference by his uncle, and thus he practically insulted Vidura. This children Vidura leaving home for pilgrimage and taking instructions from Maitreya. So one thing like here it's mentioned, right? He cursed, and then after this, I think a child by the age of 8 or 11, I don't remember. Whatever sins they are done until that age, they are not considered. Text 2. After asking various questions and becoming established in the transcendental loving service of the of Lord Shri Krishna, Vidura retired from putting questions to Maitreya Muni. Srila Prabhupada's puppet. Vidura retired from putting questions before Maitreya Muni when he was convinced by Maitreya Rishi that the summum bonum of life is to be finally situated in the transcendental loving service of Lord Shri Krishna, who is Govinda, or one who satisfies his devotees in all respects. The conditioned soul, the living being in material existence, seek happiness by employing his senses in the modes of materialism, but that cannot give him the satisfaction. He then searches after supreme truth by empiric, philosophical, speculative methods and intellectual feats. But if he does not find the ultimate goal, he again goes down to material activities and engages himself in various philanthropic and altruistic works, which all fails to give him satisfaction. So neither fruitive activities nor dry philosophical speculation can give one satisfaction, because by nature a living being is eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, and all Vedic literatures give him direction towards that ultimate end. The Bhagavad Gita 15.15 confirms this statement. Like Vidura, an inquisitive conditioned soul must approach a bona fide spiritual master like Mitra. And okay, and by intelligent inquiries must try to know everything about karma, fruitive activities, jnana, and the yoga. Jnana, philosophical research of the supreme truth, yoga, the linking process, spiritual realization. One who is not seriously inclined to put questions before a spiritual master need not accommodate a show bottle spiritual master. Nor should a person who may be spiritual master for other pose to be so if he is unable to engage his disciple ultimately in the transcendental loving service of Lord Krishna, Shri Krishna. Vidura was successful in approaching such a spiritual master like Maitreya, and he got the ultimate goal of life, bhakti, unto Govinda. Thus, there was nothing to be known further about spiritual progress. Text 3 and 4. When this Vidura returned to the palace of the when this Vidura returned to the palace, all the inhabitants, Maharaj Yudhishthira's younger brothers, Dhritarashtra, Satyaki, Sanjay, Kripacharya, Kunti, Gandhari, Draupadi, Subhadra, Maya, Uttara, Kripi, many other wives of Kauravas and other ladies with children, all hurried to him in great delight. It so appeared that they had regained their consciousness after a long period. Shubhapat Papat. Gandhari, the ideal chaste wife in the history of the world. She was the daughter of Maharaj Subala, the king of Gandhar and now Kandhar in Kabul. And her maiden state she worshipped Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is generally worshipped by Hindu maidens to get a good husband. Gandhari satisfied Lord Shiva, and by his benediction to obtain 100 sons, she was betrothed to Dhritarashtra, despite his being blind forever. When Gandhari came to know that her would-be husband was a blind man, to follow her life companion, she decided to become voluntarily blind. So she wrapped her eyes with many silk linens, and she was married to Dhritarashtra under the guidance of her elder brother Shakuni. She was the most beautiful girl at her time, and she was equally qualified by her womanly qualities, which endeared every member of the Kaurava court. But despite all her good qualities, she had the natural frailties of a woman, and she was envious of Kunti when the latter gave birth to a male child. Both the queens were pregnant, but first was Kunti gave first birth to a male child. Thus, Gandhari became angry and gave a blow to her own abdomen. As a result, she gave birth to a lump of flesh only. But since she was a devotee of Vyasadev, by the instruction of Vyasadev, the lump was divided into 100 parts, and such part gradually developed to become a male child. Thus, ambition to become the mother of 100 sons was fulfilled, and she began to nourish all the children according to her exalted position. When the intrigue of the Battle of Kurukshetra was going on, she was not in favor of fighting with the Pandavas. Rather, she blamed Dhritarashtra, her husband, for such frightful war. She desired that the state be divided into two parts, and the son Pandu, and for the sons of Pandu and her own. She was very affected she was very affected when all her sons died in the battle of Kurukshetra, and she wanted to curse Bhishma Dev, nay, Bhimsen and Yudhishthir. But she was checked by Vyasadev. Her mourning over the death of Duryodhana and Shashan before Lord Shri Krishna was very pitiful, and Lord Krishna pacified her by transcendental messages. She was equally aggrieved on the death of Karna, and she described to Lord Krishna the lamentation of Karna's wife. She was pacified by Srila. Okay, I didn't know about this. She was equally aggrieved on the death of Karna, and she described to Lord Krishna the lamentation of Karna's wife. She was pacified by Srila Vyasadeva when he showed her dead sons, then promoted to the heavenly kingdoms. She died along with her husband in the jungles of Himalayas near the mouth of Ganga. She burned she burned in a forest fire. Okay. Maharaj Yudhishthir performed the death ceremony of uncle and aunts. Pritha, daughter of Maharaj Sursena and sister of Vasudeva, Lord Krishna's father. Later, she was adopted by Maharaj Kunti Bhoj. Sursen and sister of Vasudeva. Okay. And hence she was known as Kunti. She is the incarnation of the success potency of the personality of Godhead. Oh, wow. The heavenly denizens from the upper planets used to visit the palace of King Kunti Bhoj, and Kunti was engaged for their reception. She also served the great mystic sage Durvasa, and being satisfied by her faithful service, Durvasa Muni gave her a mantra by which it was possible for her to call for any demigod she pleased. As a matter of inquisitiveness, she at once called the sun gods, who desired couplement with her, but she declined. But the sun god assured her immunity from virgin adulteration, and so she agreed to his proposal. As a result of couplement, she became pregnant, and Karna was born by her. By the grace of the sun, she again turned into virgin girl, but being afraid of her parents, she quitted the newly born child Karna. After that, she actually selected her own husband. She preferred Pandu to be her husband. Maharaj Pandu later wanted to retire from family life and ordered renounced order of life. Kunti refused to allow her husband to adopt such life. But at last, Maharaj Pandu gave her permission to become a mother of sons by calling some other suitable personalities. Kunti did not accept this proposal at first, but when vivid examples were set by Pandu, she agreed. Thus, by dint of mantra awarded by Durvasa Muni, she called for Dharmraj. Thus, Yudhishthira was born. She called for demigod, Vayu, air, and thus Bhima was born. She called for Indra, the king of heaven. The Arjuna was born, and later the others were namely Nakula Sadhava begotten by Pandu himself in the wombs of Madri. Oh, Nakula Sadhava, daughter of Madri. Yes, yes, yes. Later on, Maharaj Pandu died at an early age, for which Kunti was so aggrieved that she fainted. Two co-wives, namely Kunti and Madhuri, decided that Kunti should live for the maintenance of the five minor children. The Pandavas and Madhuri should accept the Pandavas, and Madhuri should accept the Sati rituals by meeting voluntary death along with her husband. This agreement was endorsed by great sages like Satshringa and other present in the occasion. Later on, when the Pandavas were banished from the kingdom by the intrigues of Duryodhana, Kunti followed her sons, and she equally faced all sorts of difficulties during those days. During the forest life, one demon girl, Hidimba, wanted Bhima as her husband. Bhima refused, but when the girl approached Kunti and Yudhishthir, they ordered Bhima to accept her proposal and gave her a son. As a result of the combination, Ghatotkach was born, and he fought very valiantly with his father against the Kauravas. In the forest fire, they lived with a Brahmana family that was in trouble because one Bakasur demon, and Kunti ordered Bhim to kill Bakasur to protect Brahmana family against the trouble created by the demon. She advised Yudhishthir to start for Panchal Desh Draupadi was gained. Huh? Draupadi was gained in the Panchal Desh by Arjuna, but by the order of Kunti, all five Pandava brothers became equally the husbands of Panchali or Draupadi. She was married with five Pandavas in the presence of Vyasadev. Kunti Devi never forgot her first child Karna, and after Karna's death in the battle of Kurukshetra, she lamented and admitted before her other sons that Karna was the eldest son prior to the marriage of Maharaj Pandu. Her prayer for the Lord after the battle of Kurukshetra, when Lord Krishna was going back home, are excellently explained. Later, she went to the forest with Gandhari for severe penance. She used to take meals after each 30 days. She finally sat down in profound meditation and later burned to ashes in a forest fire. Oh, I think we have Draupadi. Okay, let's read fast. Draupadi, the most chaste daughter of Maharaj Drupada and partly an incarnation of the goddess Sachi. Wow, the wife of Indra. I didn't know that. Maharaj Drupada performed a great sacrifice under the superintendence of the sage Yaga by first by his first offering. Drishtadumna was born, and by the second offering, Draupadi was born. She is therefore sister of Drishtadumna. She is also named as Panchali. The five Pandavas married her as common wife, and each begot a son in her. Maharaj Yudhishthira begot a son, Pratabhit. Bhimsen begot a son, Sutasom. Arjuna begot Shruta, Shrutakirti. Nakula begot Satanika, and Sahadev begot Shrutakarma. She is described as the most beautiful lady, equal to her mother-in-law Kunti. During her birth, there was an arrow message that she should be called Krishna. The same message also declared that she was born to kill many a Kshatriya. By dint of a blessing from Shankara, okay, she was awarded five husbands equally qualified. When she preferred to select her own husband, princes, kings were invited from all the countries of the world. She was married with the Pandavas during the exile in the forest, but when they went back home, Maharaj Drupad gave them immense wealth as dowry. She was well received by the daughter-in-law of Dhritarashtra. When she was lost in the gambling game, she was forcibly dragged into the assembly hall, and an attempt was made by Dushasana to see her naked beauty. Even though there were elderly persons like Bhishma and Drona present, she was a great devotee of Lord Krishna, and by praying, the Lord himself became an unlimited garment to save her from the insult. A demon named Jatasura kidnapped her, but her second husband Bhishmadev killed the demon and saved her. She saved the Pandavas from the curse of Maharshi Durvasa by the grace of Lord Krishna. When Pandavas lived incognito in the place of palace of Virata, Kichaka was attracted by her exquisite beauty, and by arrangement of Bhima, the devil was killed and she was saved. She was very much aggrieved when her five sons were killed by Ashwatthama. At the last stage, she accompanied her husband Yudhishthira and others on the and fell on the way. Oh, she fell on the way. The cause of her falling was explained by Yudhishthira when Yudhishthira entered the heavenly planets. He saw Draupadi glorious present there as goddess of fortune in the heavenly planet. जी 2 minute रुको. Subhadra, Subhadra Maharani, daughter of Vasudev and sister of Lord Shri Krishna. She was not only a very dear daughter of Vasudev but also very dear sister of Krishna and Baladev. The two brothers and sisters are represented in the famous Jagannath temple of Puri, and the temple is still visited by thousands of pilgrims daily. This temple is in remembrance of Lord's visit to at Kurukshetra during an occasion of solar eclipse and his subsequent meeting with the residents of Vrindavan. The meeting of Srimati Radha and Krishna during the occasion is a very pathetic story, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in ecstasy of Srimati Radharani always pinned for Lord Krishna at Jagannath Puri. While Arjuna was at Dwarka, he wanted to have Subhadra as his queen, and he expressed his desire to Lord Krishna. Shri Krishna knew that his elder brother Lord Baldev was arranging her marriage elsewhere And since he did not dare to go against the arrangement of Baldeva, he advised Arjuna to kidnap Subhadra. So when all of them were on pleasure trip on the Revata hill, Arjuna managed to kidnap Subhadra according to the plan of Krishna. Shri Baladev was very angry at Arjuna and wanted to kill him, but Lord Krishna implored his brother to excuse Arjuna. Then Subhadra was duly married with Arjuna, and Abhimanyu was born of Subhadra. At this premature death of Abhimanyu, Subhadra was very mortified, but on the birth of Parikshit, she was happy and solaced. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Shri Gurudev, Jai Shri Prabhupada.